AI will not replace jobs. Um, it will, though, replace the skill sets required to do certain jobs. For example, today, if you have to make a presentation, let's just take a very simple example, right? If you have to make a PPT deck, you would, research some content, find it from Google. I think in the near future, using the available AI tools, the person who can synthesize that information would change. So the skill sets required to operate these AI languages, the large language models, LLMs, would be like the skill that you would require, and people would still have jobs. So, contrary to popular opinion that AI is going to replace jobs, I don't think that's going to happen in any industry. The people who have the right skill sets will change, how to acquire those skill sets will change, etc. So, I think for me, marketing was something that happened, I would say, instinctively. I was very obsessed with, at some point in life, having a career in finance. I was good at math. I did numbers well. So I instinctively thought, "Ki, okay, okay, I think finance is going to be it." But after 1 year of studying it in my undergrad for my final specialization, like we're given options to do finance, marketing, HR. I ended up doing finance at that point, and it was largely because I thought, okay, academically better hoga, and I think finance makes a lot more sense because I wanted a career in that field. But that 1 year taught me a lot more than anything else did in life, and I was so super clear after that marketing is the field I want to go to, because it was just at the juxtaposition of what I was good at. One was understanding people, and second was using that understanding to create something. So marketing really gave me the opportunity of that, understanding insights, human behavior, how people react, and how you could make changes in, copies, in creatives, in the way you speak to customers. That really appealed to me. That seemed exciting. And as a young millennial at that point, I was like, yeah, whatever, wherever your passion lies is where you should go. So there I was like, now I have to really nail it in this field. And I left a bunch of jobs I got with other companies to go ahead and further pursue a master's in marketing. I did have other options to go to more established business schools, but I chose to strictly go to a school that specialized in marketing. So I attended masters for marketing at MICA in Ahmedabad. It's considered the mecca of marketing in India, at least. And I would say those 2 years happen to be the best 2 years of learning when it comes to marketing for me, because you were doing everything, like reading about marketing, seeing live examples come to life. And just the years that I studied this in, right, 2015 to 2017, were also the years where the digital world was still sort of evolving in India. It was there. I won't lie, it had just come up, but it had come up in the year 2012, 2013, right around the time when I was still in undergrad. And this was the growth spurt that was happening. So, enter my time in my car. I applied to internships, and I was very glad that I got the one I really wanted, which was a stint at Amazon. The stint that I got in at that point was site merchandising. And what a site merchandise again does is understands consumers, looks at their behavior trends, uses math to get good at numbers, do a lot of insight mining, and then present content in a format that customers can consume. So I was working on launching a new product category for Amazon at that point. So my merchandising project certainly became marketing, and it required thinking of traffic channels we should launch this on. And the scope of the project was really big and huge. And we were trying to get first-time e-commerce shoppers to really buy in a category. So it was a lot of category generation work that I got to do. And I think those 8 weeks of internship, or 10 weeks, now I don't remember, I really knew like this is the field I really want to work on, because of the access to data that's there, all the information you get to process, and how quickly you can get these changes. So the world was very agile. It matched my level of patience. I'm a thoroughly impatient person, so it worked out beautifully for me that way. And yeah, post that I ended up joining Amazon full time. I did a marketing stint for the first 2 years, where I looked at, I think, almost every category from the hardline side of business that Amazon had. So I did marketing for home, for kitchen products, worked with a lot of brands in this space, understood how customers shop. I was 21 when I started this. So, just learning, okay, when we buy bed sheets, things like thread count matter. Those kind of learnings came along. How do consumers shop came along, and how do you get them to buy a category that they would otherwise not think of buying online also came to mind. Like one interesting stint I had during this while was shopping for furniture, understanding how customers try and buy things like furniture offline, what are the barriers they face, and how could the e-commerce industry change content on site, change products on site to make that like a better experience for these customers to get them to shop more. Sorry. Post which I thought, okay, I've explored enough side of this. I did a bunch of stints in managing events for Amazon, all the shopping sales that you've seen, which gave me a good insight into, okay, how do consumers really shop when it comes to sale time period, what could be exciting offers that we create to them, how to build right kind of basket offers for these consumers. And yeah, that was one part of the stint I did, post which I wanted to really try out product marketing, because it was again, when I joined Amazon, e-commerce marketing was hot. What was the next big thing was product marketing, because tech was really growing big in the country. You could see all kind of startups getting funded left, right, center. And in came Prime, which gave me two very exciting opportunities. One was to work on a Gen Z segment, which was back in 2019, again, something very, very new. Not a lot of people were aware what Gen Z is all about. TikTok was still coming up in India. So again, I would say a very calculated decision from my end, but something I really, really wanted to go to and try out product marketing. So this was one stint I got to learn a lot about how on-site marketing works, how new products get launched, what is the life cycle of products, right from launch to adoption, and then a matured life cycle stage. I literally grew a program from 0 to 1, like built it from the grounds up, grew the scope of the program by 10x, got business, for product marketing and different teams to invest in it, and learned a great deal about a totally new customer cohort that nobody in the market at that point of time knew. So yeah, that's been my journey. Yeah, so today I lead marketing for Prime Shopping. Largely what that means is Prime members tend to stream a lot of content, and we also know basis that what shopping interests they might be of. So I work with the video team and the category teams of Amazon, and I ensure Prime members get the best possible deals, basis the content they like, basis their interests, for India and a couple of emerging markets for Amazon. So actually, before I started working in a company like Amazon, like I told you, I was a very enthusiastic young kid in college. I did a lot of internships. So one of the internships I did was with Ogilvy, and I was a client servicing intern for a lot of brands. So I was managing Pizza Hut, I was managing Voltas, I was managing Perfetti Van Mel, which produces Centerfresh, and I was doing Pan Parag also at that point. Ogilvy had that client. So what I learned in a lot of these interactions with different clients was, at that point, and this was 2013 when I was interning, a lot of the brands did not have readily available data on what consumers want. So a lot of these brands were very much in offline space. Think of a Pizza Hut back in 2013, 2014, when data wasn't widely accessible. So what they were looking to do was pivot into a new strategy, as Domino's was suddenly growing big. Pizza Hut was not doing as well with customers. Their products did not resonate as much. So what I ended up doing during that internship was initiate a customer-led research, where we didn't tell customers, okay, we are representing Pizza Hut, and we generally asked them about food delivery, food eating out experiences. How does pizza resonate with an Indian audience? Do you prefer Indianized flavors, or do you prefer like completely modern flavors? So through this research, I for the first time understood, like, when even a simple decision as to which model to put on an ad is to be taken, there are so many considerations a brand could take in mind. You could lead the authenticity route, which a lot of Gen Zers appreciate today, which is more like, hey, represent us in the market. Or you could go back to the boomer or millennial generations, where everything was far more aspirational and you wanted to look at models eating pizzas, right? anything when it comes to marketing, right? When it comes to advertising or PR, it's a lot of reflection of what the cultural nuance of that market looks like at that point. What are users resonating with? So what that interaction told me was that in the offline space, data is like, very scarce because it's not easily available, right? You have an offline store, you used to have those feedback forms, people wouldn't take them as seriously. And what this gave me an insight into, as one of my friends was working on certain e-commerce clients at that point, was that the data available in the online world is far bigger than what you get in the offline world, because you really know who's visiting your website, what could their demographic profile look like, how much time do they spend. There are things called heat maps that really let you know where the eyes focus on for you to design your site a certain way. So what I did as an extended project was I was running this content blogging website, um, where we would just turn up articles making finance more marketable to young students in college. So I'm seeing a lot of finance influencers do that on Instagram today. We were the top 10 youth blogs in the country at that point. It continues to run as an independent company today and doing fairly well. But yeah, that gave me an insight into, okay, this is the data you have, and this is super critical to your decision making. An example of that is, you look at one problem we were facing was that the time spent by users on the site wasn't enough. And what we realized was the audience we were trying to appeal to did not like reading as much text, which majority of the articles were full of. So to make them more and more exciting, we thought of putting in doodles, we thought of putting in images that simplified concepts for the users who wanted to read them. And what we saw was the time spent on the site went up easily by 30% by just making those little changes on the articles that we were presenting to the youth. So yeah, those were some learnings that I got. And then finally landed up at a company like Amazon, which thrives on data. We have a leadership principle called Deep Dive, which really talks to how well do you understand data and how do you use it for decision making. So what I realized was, if you want to make a career in the industry, be it marketing, be it sales, be it program, be it product, be it finance, right? You need to be good with numbers, and you need to be very good at identifying which data points matter. I see a lot of young interns that now come to the company, or younger folks I interact with. There is this obsession in the market with, oh, data, data. People just want to look at it. But I think the important information to synthesize for anybody looking to make a career in this field is synthesizing which data impacts your decision making. If I am looking to influence time spent on site, looking at sales data will only give me the symptom of the problem and not the solution for it. So identifying the right data points and how to synthesize them for decision making is like the key to anything. Yeah. So there was one campaign that's very close to my heart that I worked very, very closely on before moving on to the Prime team in Amazon. So there is this, we were working on this insight where there are certain on-site teams that work on creating experiences for us, which I was closer to. And then there are the brand marketing teams that work on consumer insights that focus on top of mind awareness of the brand and improving considerations for Amazon. So through some insights, we figured humans tend to always try and find, humans being Indians here, because this is an Indian market scenario, we always try to up each other by telling what better price did I get. Indians have this colloquial way of saying, I got this t-shirt, acha kitne mein liya? Aapko kitne mein mila? So what the team figured out was that there is an insight in this market that talks to this very point, that when people buy products, they have this Indianness of showing कि मैंने तो देखो इतनी अच्छी डील ली या मैंने इतना अच्छा काम किया. And Amazon at that point was also trying to establish itself as a leader in the pricing space, right? Selection we had already conquered. You might have heard of the Aur Dikhao campaign, which had done really phenomenally well. The next lever that we really wanted to attack was Amazon gives a lot of value, which was coming from the pricing part of things. What similarly we were working on site was, for new customer acquisition, certain price points and certain categories work very well for new customer acquisition. And this was coming from certain call interviews we had done, the on-site data we had looked for. Okay, whoever bought on Amazon for the first time, which price points were they really shopping from? Yeah, for which categories were they buying in? So one common insight that came across was sub 500, under 500 at that time, 2018, 2019, was a price point people were comfortable spending online with. So majority of first transactions, and not just Amazon, you see any other website, you'll now see everybody has these storefronts called under 499, under 399 that talk to those exact sub points. So basically what we figured was these are the price points really that matter to customers जिस पे वो comfortable हैं purchasing में. You'll talk to anybody, no one's going to buy a bed on Amazon for the first time, or any e-commerce partner for that matter of fact, because furniture is an expensive item. You require durability, you require a lot of research. Versus, let's say you want to buy a t-shirt which is 300, 400 bucks, and you're like, yeah, I think I'm okay to spend this, even if it's bad, I can at least try, right? So that trial price point was 500. So what we did was make a storefront on site, which was like a site CX, where we brought together the best performing categories and the best performing products under those price points and made them very discoverable for our customers. And what we tied it up with was Kitne Mein Liya campaign. So there were a lot of like colloquial terms around this ki आज मैंने t-shirt लिया तो कितने में लिया, and then it was like under 499 में t-shirts on Amazon only. And then all of this tied into our new customer strategy, like acquisition strategy for that year. And it was, I guess, one of the best campaigns Amazon has done. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. So, like I said, right, Amazon has a 360-degree marketing view, and there are very, very different teams. And I would think any other corporate also would be functioning on similar lines. So whenever we do an extensive campaign, and when I say campaign, it means if you've done a TV or a newspaper scale of ad, like the scale of advertising is big, then we do look at top of mind awareness. We look at consideration to try. And if, let's say, we do a campaign for a subscription program, let's say Prime, then it would be consideration to buy the membership, consideration to renew the membership. So these would be some top line metrics that we would look at, which talk to perceptions and where the brand gets positioned in the customer's mind. What we also typically do with these campaigns is do a follow through on them. So let's say if we've run an advertising campaign for 3 months, what was the business impact on those metrics? Did people visit my pages more often? Did the conversion suddenly improve? Or did the conversion not improve? And what was its follow through impact for the next 30, 60, and 90 days is something we very actively look at. Now, this is like high level output metrics that we would look at. What we also do is if we've done, let's say, a campaign pan India, but we've done aggressive marketing of that in certain pockets. Let's say if I'm doing Raksha Bandhan, it's bigger in North than in the South. So what I would do is just see were those geographies hit a little more differently. Did I see customer perception change only there? Did the sales or the conversion from those geographies improve to really know the success of my campaign? So these are some of the metrics we look at. But if we do anything on site, for example, right, we would look at page visits, page conversion, page abandonment rates, time spent on pages, which sections were clicked on, click-through rates of those sections, to be able to do like a complete analysis of whether or not that store performed up to expectation or not. And I know, like, we, at least now that I spent 6.5 years working here and in the industry, I understand, okay, what could benchmarks look like, what could be a good number. But back in the day, I think when we were starting out, it was just, okay, this is a starting point, we need to continuously improve on it. And then we understood, okay, these are the benchmarks that exist. AI will not replace jobs. It will, though, replace the skill sets required to do certain jobs. For example, today, if you have to make a presentation, let's just take a very simple example, right? If you have to make a PPT deck, you would, research some content, find it from Google. I think in the near future, using the available AI tools, the person who can synthesize that information would change. So the skill sets required to operate these AI languages, the large language models, LLMs, would be like the skill that you would require. And people would still have jobs. So contrary to popular opinion that AI is going to replace jobs, I don't think that's going to happen in any industry. The people who have the right skill sets will change. How to acquire those skill sets will change. etc. And this is very similar to what happened 20 years ago when everybody said digital marketing is the future. No, today jobs and prints continue to exist. Digital marketing is marketing. It's just on a different medium. You just need to understand how to, use the tools, grab them fast, and get a job, and you'll still be relevant. What I'm really worried about when it comes to AI is just how much in control we will be of things when AI happens. So I was reading about the AI tests that have been done, and there was done something on self-driving cars. Okay, and what you need to understand and acknowledge is AI is dependent on certain algorithms that have been put in, and those algorithms self-train and then almost mimics human intelligence and helps make decisions. So a very interesting example that came across was, so there were some self-driven cars that were being tested, I think, in the LA area, and that self car, I think, passed 70 or 80% on the test score, and the 20% or 10% of times it didn't. It was because it failed to recognize humans that were of darker skin. Now, this goes to train us if the feeding data that builds those algorithms are only going to be white people, then it's likely that's how AI recognizes humans. Anything that's a darker shade is considered an inanimate object and the car just passes through, right? And this is a very extreme example of where human life could, cause something. I think Microsoft also did some work with its AI where the scientist who developed the algorithm couldn't identify why the AI chose a certain response it did. So the fact that something that's going to run the future or potentially run the future could in fact be a black box to its creator is what bothers me. And that's, I guess, the truth we should all be focused on seeking rather than, saying, oh, it's going to replace jobs. I think the fact that it can take decision without you as its creator even being aware of it is what's bothersome, and something that keeps me awake every night. Like, if this is getting built, this is probably the problem to solve for. To all those young interns, young professionals, young students who are still starting their journey in this awesome field of marketing, PR, and communication, I would say focus on the how. Focus always on your inputs. So if you like understanding people, this field is just for you. Focus on that learning more than anything. Start small, but think big. I see a lot of students today come to me and they say, how to get good companies like Amazon on resume. Ma'am, you have such a stellar resume. The one call out I give to everybody is I didn't always have Amazon on my resume, and I didn't always have all the good companies that I've worked with. I strive towards it. The first internship I did was a small restaurant in Horsekhas village in Delhi. So that's how small I started, but I continued thinking big. So have that growth mindset and always focus on, your thinking, bring that thought leadership in you, and your career will be like limitless.